Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha. Tapovan Prasad, July 2026, Chinmay Lahari. It is the divine power that makes an aspirant restless and drives him to seek a guru. And again, it is the same divine power that makes the saint restless, rushing forth to serve the world and help others toward liberation. A guru is not a person, he is a personality. He lives the essence, and we have to discover it through direct insight. When in contemplation, we merge our thoughts, dive into the depths of the Guru, we meet the essence. To be one with it is the goal. This awakening is attained through devotion, surrender, and recognition of the great glory of the Guru. That day is Guru Purnima. The role of a true Guru is to make disciples think clearly and freely. His words are the least part of his teaching. The effect of his life is always far greater. Though he does not transform disciples into spiritual giants all at once, his life and teachings leave a lasting influence on their evolving minds. A guru does not condition the minds of disciples within the walls of his own ideas, but points out new realms of contemplation. He paints in words his blissful experience of the truth and the path that led him to it, which disciples must reflect upon, meditate upon, and realize. Through trial and error, one may find the right path, but it is a sacred blessing to have a true teacher to guide, protect, and lead one. On this auspicious day of Guru Purnima, let us pray. Master Pioneer, now teach me how to pave the path and make it easy for others. Master Musician, now teach me your divine music to pass on the harmony to all others. Quotes of Param Pujya Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda Ji. Seek the Master of Voices, chant Om, sing, and discover who sings. You will find your Guru there. Wherever the man of perfection lives, that becomes a pilgrim center for spiritual instruction and solace. The condition of perfect unison between the teacher and the taught is unavoidable in the study of the subjective science, Vedanta. The samsaric exhaustions gathered during one's lifetime are all lifted from the personality in a twinkle of the eye by the Guru's grace. Service of saints and sages in the form of devoted study and deep reflection upon the sacred scriptures given out by these noble souls is to be constantly pursued. The companionship of saints and sages gives the necessary lift for the mind to maintain its height and balance. It is the Master's infinite kindness that he condescends to climb down from his unapproachable heights of realization to the relative fields where his disciple now stands eagerly questioning the goal and the way. The Master can clearly see the spiritual destiny and divine perfection that lie at the innermost core of the disciples. A harmonious flute through whom the Lord expresses Himself, we consider as the great Guru, Saint, and Sage. Remember to be grateful to your Paramaguru when you feel grateful to me. All my life is the story of my love for him. Students of Vedanta must have devotion to the teacher so that they may learn to tune themselves to the right attitude and intellectual reaction of the teacher to the external world of happenings and beings. As the infinite cannot be defined in finite words, the words of the Master can echo their message only in the bosom that has been stilled in complete love. The Guru's grace itself is God's grace, since Guru is none other than Narayan himself, expressing himself as Parameshwar to help the disciple. With my Guru, go for this Himalayan pilgrimage and learn to see Him everywhere. This is open eye meditation. The divine attitude of full receptivity is the aroma of a heart which has reverence for and surrender to, faith in, and love for the Guru. A saint alone can reflect for us the supreme intelligence so that in that life divine we may chalk out a wise plan and an effective method to redeem ourselves. A guru alone can point out to us the supreme source of the real Ganga flowing within us. Guru Purnima is not a day, an occasion, a ritual, but a state of consciousness when the students try to tune in their minds to the inner state of the teacher. If Guru Puja is undertaken by any devotee of real bhakti and true faith, the Guru can certainly serve as a more efficient alambanam than even the representations of the Ishtam. If we expect a Guru to transform us to Godhood by a touch, we shall wait in vain. Self redemption must come ultimately from ourselves. Whoever the Guru may be, let the seeker understand that the teacher is none other than the Lord in a particular form. This is the only way to gain a Guru. I love you and you love me. This is what a Guru does to a disciple. The action and reaction are equal but not opposite. The heart in you is the core from where the light of consciousness beams out. At that heart, you meditate upon the Guru. It is only Chit Chinmaya. The Guru is the manifest symbol of the primordial, primordial real truth, and to him our prostration. The Guru is that equipment through which we perceptibly hear echoes of our own hearts, a divine message as though from outside. The student has to rub his ideas and thoughts against the experienced head and heart of the teacher and gain for himself a polish and a fragrance at once divine and perfect. The day dedicated to Guru worship is Guru Purnima day. Let us all prostrate to Sri Swami Tapovanam. His grace is sure and unfalling. The influence of a true master is unerringly sure and infallibly helpful at all times to all sincere and serious students. It is for the Mahatma to spread knowledge and cheer around him, and whenever true seekers reach him, they are irresistibly drawn into his orbit to bask in the warmth of his personality. Himagiri Station. It is a 24-hour relay broadcast station. The Mahatmas in Samadhi are even today sending out day and night spiritual waves of light, power, wisdom, and grace. The development of the disciple depends upon his capacity to tune himself to his Guru. This tuning to the wise is satsang. To gain at one ment with one's teacher in one's own vision of truth is the highest seva. My Guru often used to tell me, go and sit near the Ganga. She alone can teach you the deepest knowledge in the Vedas. The difference between our mind and the Master's mind is in the reaction. The mind of a man of perfection never overflows into activity to acquire and enjoy the object. Guru, though he moves all over the country, spiritually he remains at a permanent traffic constable at the junction between the two roads that lead to opposite directions, to the world of sorrow and to the world of joy. Obey the traffic constable. A sadhak trying to lead a noble way of life should mentally have the presence of his ideal or teacher always before him so that his baser tendencies get weaker and he is always inspired to live the ideal way of life. Tapovan Uvacha. The wise ones proclaim that the choice of a spiritual life is the highest, the noblest, and the best. That is the way to eternal happiness. कौन्तेय प्रतिजाने ही न मे भक्त प्रणश्यति. Prayer. नत्वा यत्पदयुग्मं मूका अपि वाग्विधूतगुरवस्युः न तजनरक्षणदक्षं तमहं प्रणमामि दक्षिणामूर्तिम्. My obeisance to Sri Dakshinamurti, who is adept at protecting those who bow down to him, having prostrated to his feet even the dumb and inarticulate become gurus with immaculate speech or capable of communicating the truth in the language beyond words. Sri Dakshina Murti Manu Suvarna Mala स्तवः 2 जगद्गुरु श्री शिवाभिनव नरसिंह सरस्वत भारती महास्वामीगल. गुरु ध्यानम. बहुजन्म कृतात् पुण्याल्लभ लभ्यते सौ महागुरु लब्ध्वा मूं न पुनर्याति शिष्य संसार बंधनम. One attains such a Mahaguru as the result of merits acquired over many births. Having attained such a Guru, the disciple is never again bound by samsara. Radiance received, radiance reflected. Each year, Guru Purnima, commemorating sage Vyasa, arrives with the full moon shining serenely in the night sky. It is a time to offer gratitude to the eternal Guru Shishya Parampara and reflect on our own spiritual journey. The moon is a profound symbol. It has no light of its own, yet it illumines the night by reflecting the brilliance of the sun. Likewise, the disciple shines by manifesting the Guru's values, vision, and wisdom, faithfully drawing his or her radiance from the Guru's light. Puja Gurudev revealed the secret of such reflection by love, devotion, and service to the Guru. The integration of the mind becomes full, and with such a mind, we can fly higher into meditation. Swami Chinmayananda Vedanta Through Letters, 1959, page 176. The full moon represents that full, devoted, and spotless mind. Pujya Guruji and Pujya Swami Swarupanandaji reminds us that the true way to honor the Guru is to live the teachings. The moon does not merely admire the sun, it reflects it. The disciples' gratitude is expressed not merely through worship but by embodying the Guru's values. Moreover, the moon's brilliance depends upon its capacity to receive and reflect light. Similarly, the extent to which the Guru's wisdom shines through us depends upon the receptivity and purity of our minds. The gentle, cooling moonlight mirrors the Guru's grace that quietens the mind and reduces the ego. As we offer our deep gratitude to the Masters, Guru Purnima asks us to look within and analyze our own thoughts, words, and actions. May we aspire to become like the full moon, luminous and complete, reflecting the Guru's glory and grace for the benefit of all. From weakness to wisdom. This talk has been transcribed and edited from a rare series of discourses on chapter 9 of the Bhagavad Gita given by Pujya Gurudev at Siddhabadi, India in 1986. This can be viewed on Chinmay channel, YouTube. Verse 9.32 of the Bhagavad Gita is the most difficult verse to convey in Western countries because people are already prejudiced. They have preconceived notations. माम ही पार्थ व्यपाश्रित्य येऽपि स्युः पापयोनयः स्त्रियो वैश्यास्तथा शूद्रास्तेऽपि यान्ति परां गतिम्. Taking refuge in me, O Partha, they also, who may be of sinful birth, women, Vaishyas, as well as Shudras, even they attain the supreme goal. Mapping the mind, types, tendencies, and growth. To remove this prejudice and help them approach the subject in a logical, scientific manner, thereby allowing Westerners to grasp the depth and significance of the statement, typically requires about 3 days. The first 2 days often put me in physical danger because of the sensitive nature of what I am trying to explain, followed by a day dedicated solely to effective communication. Now Krishna says, Hey Partha, understand this well. Those who take exclusive refuge in me, who contemplate upon me alone, even if they are born of sinful wombs, they too attain me. What does this man mean? It refers to those who have entered this world carrying a larger share of negative and unspiritual vasanas. These vasanas are tendencies that influence our behavior and manifest as unrefined, unspiritual ways of living. Traditionally, terms like Stri, Vaishya, and Shudras are used, but in philosophy, when such words are used, they do not refer to the physical body. The teacher is not connected with your body, his engagement is entirely with your mind. In a Vedanta classroom, the connection is mind to mind, the teacher's mind communicating with the student's mind. Mentally, we fall into two broad categories, masculine and feminine, not in a physical sense but in terms of personality traits. An effeminate personality is one that clings to the present, lacking the courage to leave it behind in pursuit of a higher goal. It hesitates, fears, and avoids risk. A masculine personality, on the other hand, is willing, sometimes even impulsively, to leave behind the known in pursuit of something greater. It has a heroic readiness to leap forward. These are not tied to gender. Many outwardly strong, imposing individuals lack inner courage, constantly seek validation, and are unable to decide. And there are those who, irrespective of appearance, possess tremendous resolve and clarity. Consider individuals who take decisions, however uncomfortable, and stand by them. That is the essence of a masculine personality. So, this classification is psychological, not biological. It is not a moral fault, it is the result of past vasanas. These tendencies shape our thoughts and emotions. It is a limitation, a defect in the personality, not something to be blamed upon oneself, but something to be understood and transcended. Such a person often lacks the courage to decide and act independently, to accept the results, whether success or failure. The daring spirit is missing. Think of it this way, just as a child may be physically underdeveloped without it being their fault, so too a personality may be underdeveloped in spirit. Many of us feel this: I should have acted, I should have spoken, but we did not because courage failed us. Contrast this with one who faces opposition head on. He may return with a broken nose, but also with the satisfaction of having stood up, acted, and engaged. To him, life is a field of action, not avoidance. Without courage, one cannot enter contemplation. True contemplation demands that we leave behind the known and leap into the unknown, into the transcendental. That leap requires tremendous inner strength. Hence, Stri refers to an effeminate personality. Vaishya denotes the commercial materialist, and Shudra represents the worker class. Consider the Vaishya temperament. This is not a caste label, but a mental disposition. It is marked by activity and enthusiasm, but driven largely by personal gain. Acquisition becomes the central goal: more wealth, more comfort, more status. I started as a shopkeeper and retired a multi-millionaire. There is energy, yes, but it is directed outwards towards accumulation. The means may be questionable at times, but the end is always the same acquisition for personal and familial comfort. This too is not their fault. Their vasanas compel them to think and act this way. The field of transformation. There is a story about an extraordinary rich man, a truly noble and good hearted individual. He owned vast amounts of land. One night he woke to a disturbance, and his wife stirred at well as well. After running on the light, After turning on the light, he so slowly made his way to the bathroom, unsure of why he had awakened. While there, he noticed some movement through the window. Returning to his wife, he said, "My dear, you won't believe why I woke up. I couldn't sleep at all. I was in turmoil, debating whether to tell you or not. You see, in that previous transaction, we acquired 20,000 gold moharas, and I didn't know what to do with them. So I put them in a beautiful iron casket 3.5 feet underground. That is why I was out late tonight. I buried it." "Where?" his wife asked. "In our uncultivated, weedy land," he replied. "We can't afford to cultivate it, so I thought no one would go there. I buried it right in the middle." Now, some looters who were planning to rob him overheard this conversation. They immediately went to the weedy land with pickaxes, not knowing the exact spot. They began digging in the middle portion, trying to find the casket. After digging down 3.5 feet, they found nothing. The next day, as the rich man went to his office, he noticed the dug up land. On the third and fourth day, the looters returned, complaining, "That fellow cheated us." That night, the rich man woke his wife again. "Get up, you don't know the troubles I go through for you. The day before yesterday, I asked Appunni, our helper, to dig it up and bury it closer to the well. He did it, so it is safe now. A treasure shouldn't be kept in one place. Someone might find it, so I had him shift it." Thus, every fifth or sixth day, the looters would go to the land. First, they dug the middle portion, then, following the man's clues, they moved near the well. They kept digging different areas, convinced the treasure had been shifted. Eventually, the entire weedy field was beautifully tilled. After 3 weeks, the rich man again noticed a disturbance and woke his wife. "You see, we moved it, but someone keeps coming and trying to dig it up, so we put it in the well." The next day, the looters went to the well. They bailed out all the water and began digging. The well became deeper, and the water they poured out irrigated the land. The rich man then called his servant Apuni and said, "Go sow seeds. The land has been tilled anyway." Soon the crop grew. This fellow this fallow land, which had not been cultivated for a long time, had now been turned deeply, watered thoroughly, and seeded. The crop thrived. Now and then the rich man would go to watch the field. The looters, seeing this, thought, "We did all the work and he is taking the credit." When the crop was ready to be cut, Apunni said, "Sir, it's time to harvest." But the rich man replied, "No, not yet. We will try tomorrow. We will do it tomorrow and the day after tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, because the best time to cut the crop is when it is bathed in moonlight. The looters overheard this and thought he would bring people to harvest the crop, the result of their hard labor. So one night they harvested the entire crop themselves and took it away. By then, however, the looters had been recognized. The wealthy man had already stationed his people in the field. The following day, the man gathered them all in his office, called the thieves, and told them, "Why do you live this way? Take that land and start cultivating it." His words transformed their lives. They began to work the land, and soon they became prosperous farmers. There was no treasure to be found, yet, since they came in search of treasure, the rich man made them work for it. A rich man often seeks to acquire more and more for himself, but here was an exception. He possessed sattvic qualities with a genuine desire to help and save those people who he ensured that these looters gave up looting and became honest, honorable farmers. They discovered that through their own effort, sweat, and toil, when they earned money, there was dignity in it. Even they reached the highest. Therefore, no one is to be blamed. It is due to one's own inherent vasanas. For example, those with tamasic vasanas tend to do the minimum work, seek maximum gain, and indulge in maximum rest. Minimum effort, maximum reward. Such a temperament is termed Shudra. It is not a fault, it arises from the texture of one's vasanas. Thus, because of a lower yoni, that is an unfavorable combination of inner equipment with which one is structured. Even those who are born with negative tendencies are not condemned. Even they reach the highest when they turn their attention to me, when they take refuge in me. They are not only straightened, they become sattvic and ultimately reach me. That is the glory of turning towards me in deep contemplation. Do not say, "Whenever I meditate, I feel sleepy." Never mind, hold your breath. Refuse to breathe until you wake up. The mind will say, "All right, I am awake. Now at least breathe." Thus, slowly come out of tamas from rajas, rise into a sattvic attitude. The mind becomes quietened. With a quietened mind, contemplate and reach the highest. Even those who are of the lowest caliber, born with the most unfavorable tendencies, can straighten themselves within a lifetime and reach the supreme. To be continued. Bhakti, love that liberates. Param Puja Guruji, Swami Tejomayanandaji. Chapter 10 of Bhagavad Gita contains some exquisite shlokas on devotion and devotees. Shri Krishna declares that he blesses with knowledge those who are devoted to him. Mच्चित्ता मद्गतप्राणा बोधयन्तः परस्परं कथयन्तश्च मां नित्यं ते तुष्यन्ति च रमन्ति च. Transcribed and edited from Puja Guruji's discourses on the Bhagavad Gita for all times and people in New Delhi, October 2016. With their minds wholly wholly resting in me with their senses absorbed in me, enlightening one another and ever speaking of me. They are satisfied and delighted, absorbed in the beloved Lord. Bhagavan blesses those bhaktas whose chitta rests only in him. Machchittaha. In Vedanta, chitta is smaranatmika vritti, the faculty of memory. Thus, Machchitta refers to those who constantly remember the Lord. Everyone knows from experience that we frequently remember those whom we love. Parents whose children live abroad or away from them often think of them. Each time they eat a special dish, they recall, oh, my son or daughter likes this so much. Anything we see or any incident reminds us of the person we love. There is an enchanting story about the Gopikas of Vrindavan. They loved Sri Krishna's Madhura Rupa. They did not meditate upon Bhagavan's Nirguna Rupa. One day, Narad Muni was passing through Gokul and noticed a gopi sitting in meditation with his eyes closed. He was surprised, a gopi sitting in meditation. How could that be? After some time, she opened her eyes, threw up her hands in despair, and muttered, no use, no use at all. Naraji inquired, O Gopi, what is of no use at all? What are you talking about? I am trying to take my mind away from Krishna, replied the exasperated Gopi. In sharp contrast, we throw up our hands after a few minutes of meditation. Our mind refuses to remain with the Lord. Here was a gopi who could think of nothing but Krishna. Her mind was totally absorbed in Bhagavan. When the sage asked her why she was attempting to take her mind away from the Lord, she replied, I cannot do any other work. My mind is always thinking of Krishna. Madgata Pranaha is a beautiful expression that describes the state of a devotee who remembers the Lord in and through every breath. For such bhaktas, Bhagavan in their prana is their pranadhar, their life. Every breath of theirs exists only for the Lord. Maharaj Dasharatha was such a devotee. He, his very life depended on seeing his beloved Rama. He had declared that if he could not see the Lord, his Rama, before him, he did not wish to live. When devotees meet, whenever such devotees meet, bodhayantah parasparam, they enlighten one another. They are forever speaking of the divine glories of the Lord. Kathayantascha mam nityam. Naradji beautifully describes such tender meetings in Narada Bhakti Sutra. Sutra number 68. When great devotees come together, their voices are choked with emotion, their hair stands on end, and their eyes are filled with tears. In that state of devotion, they speak to one another of their beloved Lord, sanctifying not only their own families but the entire world. Thus, whether it is the mind, prana, intellect, or speech, the be all and end all of their lives is Bhagavan alone. Such devotees speak of his Rupa, Nama, Guna, Katha, Dhama, and Leelas and revel in them constantly. A Krishna Bhakta was once asked how many times he had read the Bhagavad Gita. He replied that he had taken it up again and again, but had never been able to complete it even once. Whenever he began reading the opening shloka describing Sri Krishna's arrival as the Sarathi, seated in a magnificent chariot yoked with white horses, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 1, verse 14, he found himself unable to proceed. He simply remained mesmerized by the captivating form of Bhagavan. Here, Sri Krishna makes a very profound and moving statement. He explains that those devotees who are ever united with Him, whose minds are never distracted from the truth, who remain constantly absorbed in Him and worship Him with great love, are blessed by Him with Buddhi Yoga. तेषां सततयुक्तानां भजतां प्रीतिपूर्वकं ददामि बुद्धियोगं तं येन माम् उपयान्ति ते. To the ever steadfast worshipping me with love, I give Buddhi Yoga by which they come to me. Buddhi Yoga guided by grace. Buddhi Yoga is an exceptionally beautiful term since it is also used to indicate Karma Yoga. The meaning of the shloka may be interpreted as I bless them with the attitude of Karma Yoga. With reference to Jnana Yoga, it means I bless them with knowledge. I lift them out of samsara. This is not ordinary or superficial knowledge. It is the knowledge by which the Lord's devotees reach Him. By His grace, they purify their minds and then gain the knowledge that ultimately leads them to Him. Indeed, it is extremely difficult to purify the mind, to free it from desire, anger, greed, jealousy, and so on. Often we feel we have succeeded, but the very moment we think we have, say, conquered anger, the next instant it surfaces again and confronts us. We must struggle greatly to purify the mind. Yet, no much, yet, how much can we truly accomplish by our own efforts alone? In Ramcharitmanas, Sugriv rightly declares, यह गुण साधन ते नहीं होई, तुम्हारी कृपा पाव कोई कोई. It is a virtue which cannot be attained by personal endeavor. It is only by your grace that one can acquire it. Kishkinda Kand 20.3. We gain purity of mind only when our endeavors are blessed by the Lord. Similarly, after studying the scriptures, knowledge too arises only by His grace. Bhagavan Shankaracharya clearly affirms that even though we study the scriptures under a teacher, every seeker must cross the ocean of samsara with an intellect blessed by the Lord. The Lord's promise. Most significantly, in the ninth chapter, Sri Krishna declares that in the case of those who are devoted to Him alone, He, the Lord, takes full responsibility of their Yogakshema. Bhagavad Gita 9.22. Ananyash chintayanto mam ye janah paryupasate तेषां नित्याभियुक्तानां योगक्षेमं वहाम्यहम्. For those who worship me alone, thinking of no other, those who are already always self-controlled, I secure that which is not already possessed yoga by them, and preserve for them what they already possess kshema. Yoga refers to that which the devotee does not possess. It will be provided by Bhagavan when it is needed. Kshema refers to the protection of that which is acquired. The Lord promises to be fully in charge of the acquisition and preservation not only of the worldly needs but also the spiritual needs of his devotees. For instance, when you need a guru, Bhagavan will ensure that the teacher comes to you. When you need knowledge, you will get that too. But remember, Bhagavan fulfills our needs, not our greed. You will get what you need. Glory of His name. An oft repeated question is, how can I love God if I don't know Him? If we love God, He will reveal His nature to us. If we just have the faith that there is God, that itself is enough. There is a beautiful shloka that says, तव तत्त्वं न जानामि कीदृशोऽसि महेश्वर यादृशोऽसि महादेव तादृशाय नमो नमः. Shivamahimna Stotram, verse 42. O Lord, I do not know you. I do not know your truth. I do not know what you are, how you are. I don't know anything about you, but for me, it is enough that you are there. I do not know what you are, but you know yourself, and therefore I bow to you. Whatever you are, whatever your nature is, I do namaskar. Is it difficult to do this? Constantly do the kirtana of Bhagavan, Nama Sankirtana, Katha, Shravanam, and so on. Bhagavad Gita 9.14. There is such great joy in doing so. Can there be any sadhana easier than this? Can there be any sadhana sweeter than this? If you cannot do this, then you can at least say Ram, Ram. You do not have to be a musician to take the Lord's name. Indeed, blessed are those who drink the nectar of Ramanama. Dhanyaste krutinah pibanti satatam Shri Ramanamamrutam. Ramcharitmanas, Kishkindha Kand, Shlok 2. When compassion becomes light. In the next verse in chapter 10, Bhagavan states that moved by the love of his devotees, the heart is filled with compassion and he cannot see their suffering. तेषामेवानुकम्पार्थम् अहमज्ञानजं तमः नाशयाम्यात्मभावस्थो ज्ञानदीपेन भास्वता. Bhagavad Gita 10.11. Out of mere compassion for them, I, dwelling within their heart, destroy the darkness born of ignorance by the luminous lamp, the light of knowledge that dispels the darkness of ignorance. But today, Deepavali centers around lighting lamps, bursting crackers, wearing new clothes, eating delicious sweets, and so on. However, it actually becomes Deepavali only when we recognize it as the light of knowledge, as the knowledge of the truth and untruth, as the self and the non-self, not self. True Deepavali is when Bhagavan himself lights the lamp of knowledge in our hearts, reveals his nature to us, and dispels the darkness of ignorance. What is ignorance? Ignorance is the cause of all our suffering. It creates wrong notions. Under its spell, we go on living our lives. We perform actions and enjoy the result, thereby creating more desires for more results and more enjoyment. We remain entangled in the inextricable vicious web and circle of karma and bhoga again and again. All this is the result of ignorance. It is the underlying basic cause of all our sorrows. It veils our understanding and we fall into delusion. How to love God? To solve this complex and challenging predicament, all we need to do is love God. He will do the rest. What a beautiful and uncomplicated way. Love Him in whatever way you know. Once a person went to a Mahatma and asked him, "What shall I do to please the God, the Lord? What do you think will please Bhagavan?" "I think if I sing, he will be pleased." "Then sing, but sing only for Bhagavan," advised the Mahatma. "Don't sing for money, don't sing for anything else, only sing for God. If you think you can please Bhagavan by dancing, then dance, like Mirabai, who declared, "I will dance only in front of the Lord. पग घुंघरू बांध मेरा नाची, मैं तो गिरधर के आगे नाचूंगी." If you feel like crying, then cry only for God. Whatever karma you are doing, do it for God. This is the beauty of Bhakti Yoga. No special qualifications are required. That you are. Invoke the Lord. He is already present in our hearts, but we have to feel that presence. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that the Lord enters our hearts through the ears. Pravishta Karnarandhrena. Srimad Bhagavatam 2.8.5. As we constantly listen to His glories, we come to discover Him, we come to know that He is ever with us. This is the supreme discovery, the best that can happen. This is what we should pray for. After it, there is nothing more to do. Kruta Krutyascha Bharata. Nothing more to gain, nothing more to see, nothing more to experience, nothing more to become that you are. Satsang with Swami Swarupananda in Toronto, Part 4. Pujya Swami Swarupananda ji conducted a Jnana Yajna in Toronto from July 20 to 24, 2024. After the lunch and dinner Viksha, Pujya Swamiji would graciously hold informal satsangas with the devotees where the atmosphere was light, warm and reflective. We present here the final question and answer session from these inspiring gatherings. Editor, offer and let go. Swamiji, I live in a joint family. Along with daily duties, there are constant expectations, mine and other people's. How do I manage them? Expectations, whether yours or others, are the leading cause of agitation. Your duty must be done without doubt, but the rest, the worry, the disturbance arises only from expectation. As the saying goes, "Bhalai kar darya mein dal," do good and cast it into the river. Perform your duty, then surrender the result. The moment you begin to expect, "I did my part, but others are not doing theirs," or "they are enjoying while I am working," misery enters. And then even the good you do cease to be good because it disturbs your mind. Everyone thinks I am right. But remember this, when good is done selflessly, it inevitably comes back to you. Let me tell you a story. There once lived a Sufi fakir named Bataya Fakir. He went door to door for alms. But unlike others, he never blessed or cursed anyone. He said, Only one thing, the good that you do comes back to you, the bad that you do remains with you. In one village, a young woman consistently offered him food. Sometimes she had very little, yet she still shared whatever she could. One day, her husband, who had gone trading across the Thar desert, did not return for many days. Anxiety took over. She lost her peace of mind. When the fakir came again, her frustration burst forth. She thought, he never blesses anyone, yet he keeps coming for food. In her anger, she mixed poison into the meal and gave it to him. The fakir, as always, said calmly, the good that you do comes back to you. The bad that you do remains with you. Hearing this, her heart froze. She suddenly realized what she had done, rushed forward, snatched the plate away, and replaced it with freshly cooked food. That very night, her husband returned home. When she asked what had happened, he recounted, I was lost in the desert, hungry, thirsty, near death. Then suddenly an angel appeared, gave me food and water. Overcome with gratitude, she asked, who was that angel? I wish to offer my prayers to him. Her husband replied, I don't know. Before I could thank him, he only said, the good that you do comes back to you, the bad that you do remains with you. Later, when she served him dinner, he tasted it and said, how strange, this food tastes exactly like the one that angel gave me. Then she understood the very food she had prepared for the fakir had, by divine grace, reached her husband and saved his life. So remember this, the good you do always come back to you, whether or not anyone appreciates it. And the bad you do stays with you, even if no one else ever knows. Guilt and agitation are your punishment, their own punishment. That is why the Gita declares you have a right only to action, never to its fruits. कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते कर्मणि एव अधिकारहते मा फलेषु कदाचन. Do your duty and place the result in the Lord's hands. Do your best and trust that whatever comes is for the best. And trust that whatever comes is for the best. When expectations drop, the mind becomes calm, and only a calm mind can be meditative. So, how does the karma siddhanta fit into this story? The bad remains with you, the good comes back to you, and remember this, the moment you do good, don't think the result will come later. Don't you feel peaceful immediately? Don't you feel light within yourself? And the moment you do wrong, whether others catch you or not, inside something disturbs you. You may justify later, but why the sleepless nights? Why the inner unease? The results of good and bad actions reach you immediately. Inwardly, external results will also come. But the giver of results is Bhagavan, not the people from whom you expect. Is it the same as when we talk about karma? Yes, karma is the action and the result of action. Earnest effort, eternal grace. Swamiji, in life we often plan to do certain things and something entirely different happens. With time, we realize that what happened was actually good. Slowly, we begin to see that everything is in His hands. But then a question arises, what then is free will? If everything happens by God's will and we accept all that happens as His will, why do we even need free will? You see, at every step you are making decisions, but your role is very small. You do this much, which by itself is insignificant. Grace, on the other hand, is always there for everyone at all times. Think of parents. They are ready to give everything to their children. A child studies well. Do you think his studies alone will pay for his higher education? No, yet the parents are ready to pay. The child's effort does not create the resources, it merely invites them. That effort is free will. Grace is already present. Effort simply makes you receptive to it. That is why free will is important, not because it controls results, but because it aligns you with grace. There is a beautiful illustration in the Ramayana. When the monkeys built a bridge to Lanka, it was far too narrow for the entire army to cross. Rama came and stood on the shore. All creatures, animals, birds, sea beings were transfixed by his divine beauty. Bhagavan's answer is profound, grace is infinite, but effort must be demonstrated. God, who can create and dissolve the universe, does not need our effort, but we need to offer it to express sincerity, readiness, and faith. Your effort is not to produce the result, it is to qualify yourself for grace. We often see this in life. We make an effort in one direction, but the result comes from somewhere else entirely. Later, we realize that what happened was actually the best for us. When you understand this, you hand over the result to God's wisdom. If you have done your best, you will always receive the best. Not what you thought was best, but later you may discover would have been disastrous. This is where faith comes in. Have faith that everything that happens for the best. The teaching is simple and straightforward. Do your best. Offer your effort sincerely. Accept the result as grace. Free will is your offering. Grace does the rest. No magic, just love. Swamiji, I have noticed that when I sit through your lectures, any questions I might have seemed to get answered there itself. Are Baba, that is how our Bhagavad Gita and scriptures are structured. They are arranged so that for any intelligent listener, the questions that arise are anticipated and addressed. It is not that I am doing anything special. That is the genius of our scriptures. And we were thinking you could read her mind. I will not comment on that. That would be scary. But let me tell you something. Never be afraid of someone who can read your mind. Mothers read their children's mind all the time. Do they have magical powers? No. Do they have eyes at the back of their heads? No. They have love in their hearts. No one can read your mind unless they love you. And if someone who loves you can read your mind, there is nothing to be afraid of at all. Choice, a scientific perspective, Swami Shantananda. From a talk given at a scientific symposium, first published in Keeping the Rhythm, Mananam 2017. The freedom hidden in creation. As we know, an atom is made up of several parts. Inside, there is a multi level structure, and we find the electron orbiting the nucleus at a fascinating energy level. It has individuality and has freedom. So, we need to understand that even this little electron, which is a material thing, a negative charge of electricity, seems to have an intrinsic life and ability of its own. It has baffled the calculations of scientists who believed in the universality of causal determinism, that everything is mechanically determined. The electronic has challenged that theory. The moment of the electron has demonstrated a freedom of its own, the capacity to jump from one orbit to another. It is quite amazing that this little unit of energy seems to enjoy freedom of movement and can leap from one orbit to another. This is called a quantum jump, and no one has yet determined how this transition occurs. It cannot be determined or calculated by any known law of science. So, you see, this opens an entirely new vista of thought, that if such freedom is possessed even by a tiny electron, how can we say that we human beings who stand at the apex of the ladder of evolution dare to claim that we have no freedom and are subject only to mechanical forces? Even a little subatomic particle refutes that theory. When choice becomes worship, Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says, Uddharet Atmanam Atmana. Uddharet Atmanatmana. Uddharet Atma Atmanatmanam. Atmanatmanam. Lift yourself by yourself. Never look down upon yourself. When it comes to individual growth, both spiritual and material, one must have a certain confidence in oneself that one is given a choice by the Lord. The freedom to choose is the prerogative of every human being. No doubt, one comes with some baggage from past lives, but one still has the freedom to choose. However, wherever there is choice, there is also the possibility of abusing that freedom. In order to use one's choice rightly, one should follow moral and ethical values. Prarabdha or destiny gives us opportunities, but the way we make use of them is up to us. Valuing our choices. Values are a very important aspect of religion. For moral and ethical values keep a society integrated and harmonious. That is why our Chinmay Mission pledge affirms we live honestly the noble life of sacrifice and service, producing more than what we consume and giving more than what we take. This is a wonderful value. If we sincerely follow the great value declared in that statement, our society will become a better place for all of us to live. There is yet another reason to follow such uplifting values. If the Lord Himself is the creation and abides in every living being, irrespective of their level of existence, then when we interact with the world, what are we truly doing? Are we not interacting with the Lord Himself? When this is understood and absorbed, our attitude naturally becomes one of love and respect towards human beings, animals, birds, plants, trees, and even insects, for all bear the presence of God within them. Where science touches the transcendent, ecological awareness and environmentalism have gained prominence recently. Yet the rishis practiced its principles ages ago. Their dictum was, if you wish to cut one tree, plant five more and then take what you need. This indicates their deep reverence for the environment. Similarly, in the Vedas, we have hymns in praise of all the phenomenal forces, the sun, the moon, water, fire, air, and even plants and healing herbs. Worship of nature arises from a higher understanding that the Lord dwells in everything, and that in worshipping nature we are truly worshipping Him. We behold the Lord's smile in the rising sun. We hear His presence in the chirping of birds and His music in the call of the cuckoo. We feel the sense, we feel and sense His fragrance when the soft winds wafts from the flowers and caresses us. The rishis saw the Lord everywhere. They relay phenomena far beyond the limits of ordinary perception. Physics and other secular sciences construct elaborate measuring devices and use mathematical symbols and theorems to represent reality and interpret the universe. Both work beyond the limits of ordinary perception. On a closer look, the essential character of scientific research is this: research is moving towards the absolute by studying the relative, which is found to be inexhaustible in multiplicity and diversity. In a sense, through the principles of relativity and quantum mechanics, modern science has already reached the threshold of the transcendental realm. The Lord has blessed us with the freedom to choose. We are given the chance to see it wisely and attain Godhood in this life itself. The Kenopanishad declares, Nachediha न चेदि हावेदीन महति vinashti. If you do not discover the fact that your real nature is Satchidananda Brahman, then life itself is a great loss. Om Chinna Samshayaya Namaha. Swami Svatmananda Ji. Salutations to the one who dispels doubts. This name of Puja Gurudev has two meanings. Salutations to the one whose doubts have been dispelled. Salutations to the remover of others' doubts. Vedanta challenges our most fundamental ideas. It says we are not the body, mind, and intellect. The creation is unreal or illusory. The supreme reality alone exists, and it is our true nature. This naturally creates many doubts in our minds. When we hear a chain of arguments and those new thoughts interact with what we already know, a precipitate comes out called a doubt. If one is ignorant about a subject, there is no doubt. If one knows a subject thoroughly, there is no doubt. When there is confusion and we question what we have heard, there is doubt. From doubt to discovery. When we listen Shravanam to Vedantic knowledge, especially the Mahavakyas from the Sadguru, if our mind is ready, we realize the truth instantly. If it is not yet pure and subtle, doubts will arise. With faith in the scriptures and scriptural logic in our reflection, mananam, and discussions with co seekers, we develop an intellectual conviction. This alone is not enough to dispel the doubts. There is a habitual error of false identification with the body, mind, intellect, which does not allow us to experience the self. Puja Gurudev said, doubts are but the shadows of your own mind's dancing. Quieten the mind through meditation, study, and realize that which is beyond all doubts. Habitual error is removed by contemplation, nididhyasan, and we come to discover the truth. We see this in the life of Puja Gurudev. Inquiry to illumination. When the young agnostic Balan met Swami Shivananda, questioned him, and observed his selfless life of service, he became a believer and even took sannyasa, becoming Swami Chinmayananda. Yet he had many more questions. Swami Shivananda sent him to Swami Tapovan Maharaj of Uttarkashi to study Vedanta systematically. Swami Tapovan Maharaj would teach only once, and if he asked any question that Swami Chinmayananda could not answer, he would have to leave. Puja Gurudev agreed. In turn, he would ask many questions and would not allow Tapovanji to move on to the next topic until every doubt was cleared. In this way, Puja Gurudev studied the Panchadashi and a few Upanishads. He would listen to the lectures in Hindi and write his notes in English. He would spend hours after each lesson making sure that no thought was incomplete, no insight undigested. He contemplated on the teachings intensely. He followed the sadhana of Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, and Savikalpa and Nirvikalpa Samadhi to awaken to the Supreme Truth. The Mundakopanishad 2.2.8 says, when it, truth, is seen both in the higher and the lower, the knot of his heart becomes untied, all doubts are dispelled, and all his karmas are consumed. Remover of doubts. Puja Gurudev's love for the students, selflessness in sharing the knowledge, and zeal to revive Sanatan Dharma enabled him to empathize with the questioners and answer them at their level. A youngster in Chennai asked Pujya Gurudev, "What is a vasana?" His reply was, "When a young buxom girl is walking on the road, the tendency in you that makes you want to whistle is called a vasana." He did not use technical terms such as unmanifest, the cause of the gross and subtle bodies, and so on. He spoke in the language that the youth would understand. He spoke from the standpoint of non believers, which convinced both the non believers and the believers. Many devotees felt that even without asking, their doubts would be cleared in the talk. Great masters do not have to speak, their presence is enough. Why worship a teacher? An article by Prarthana Sharan, Delhi. Who is a guru? Isn't the teacher just another human being who walks, talks, eats, and sleeps just like you? So, how does he or she rise to the status of God? No matter how much you love your teacher, isn't it like the love of one human being for another? The answer is a resounding no. The teacher of the knowledge of the self is not merely a teacher, he or she is the one who enlightens. The word guru is now part of the English vocabulary and is used loosely to refer to any teacher or guide. There are business gurus, sports gurus, management gurus, even stock market gurus. Traditionally, however, the word is used only for spiritual teachers of Brahma Jnana. In India, fine arts are also elevated to the status of spiritual knowledge. Therefore, teachers of music, art, and dance are venerated like gods. These disciplines are deeply linked to spirituality, and the student often feels that even uttering the Guru's name is an act of impertinence. The question is why? Guru, embodiment of truth. When the Guru is also a human being, why he is worshipped as Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesha, the trinity of Godhood? When the Guru is worshipped thus, the human element is not considered at all, only the truth element is considered. It is the Lord Himself speaking through the Guru's mouth, dispelling the students' misconceptions. When the teacher explains that the student is not this bundle of flesh, nor the fleeting thoughts, he reveals the student's boundless nature. At the same time, he reveals his own limitlessness. Since the limitless alone is the Lord, where then is the human element? It dissolves entirely in the embrace of the whole. What is worshipped is not the person, but the total. The teacher, though in a human body, becomes like an altar of worship, like a Shivalinga, a flag, a cross, or a deity's form. When you praise your teacher, you are not praising the individual, but the sacred teaching that has transformed your life into a song of love and service. The teacher is not separate from the teaching imparted with love. One personal guru or many? Swami Shivanandaji advised, drink deeply from one man alone. It is useless to wander from one to another out of curiosity. Do not have the ever changing mind of a prostitute. Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda often advised that one should not keep digging in many places for water. Learn from all, but let the altar of your love and devotion remain one. Swami Vivekananda said, from one doctor you get a prescription, from two doctors you get a consultation, from three doctors you get your own cremation. Scholarship versus realization. Should the Guru be an erudite scholar of texts? A textual teacher may explain diction, grammar, and etymology, but cannot necessarily elevate the mind. Transformation in a student happens only through the tapas of the teacher. Otherwise, words fall like seeds on barren land. An erudite teacher may display vast scholarship, Shastra Vasana, but students may still wander lost in a forest of words. Brahmadhyana requires precision and clarity. A true teacher descends to the student's level, speaks in their language, and addresses their concerns. Compassion and grace, purity, selflessness, and absence of desire for gain or fame are the hallmarks of a true teacher. Religion is not a transaction, it is the magnetic presence of such a teacher that brings about inner transformation. Transactions. When the heart longs deeply for guidance, the Lord appoints the teacher. The student recognizes the Guru through a natural love for him and his teaching. Swami Vivekananda advised serving the Guru with childlike confidence and simplicity. This purity of surrender invokes the divine flow of knowledge. The Guru must be compassionate, lifting the student out of suffering without selfish motive. He must have performed his own tapasya and remain free from greed and values that bind. Even without scholarly mastery, a realized master can transmit grace through a glance or touch, or as in the case of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and Swami Vivekananda. The uniqueness of the Guru Shishya relationship lies in its complete absence of selfishness. Only love and compassion remain. The Guru's lotus feet. The Shastras enjoin that a student should not even step over the Guru's shadow. The Guru's feet are worshipped as lotus feet, just as the lotus, rising above muddy waters, remains untouched while spreading beauty and fragrance. So too, the teacher remains unaffected by the impurities of the world. He uplifts, beautifies, and sanctifies everything around him. It is truly the Lord and His grace functioning through a human form. Absent minded to mindfulness, Brajendra Das. Sri Das's association with Chinmay Mission began in 1985 when he attended Puja Gurudev's Gita Jnana Yajna in Jamshedpur. Over the years, he collected Gurudev's complete set of books and DVDs and remained deeply connected with his talks and writings. Since 2021, he has been conducted 5 study classes and from December 2023 has been offering voluntary seva at the Chinmay Vibhuti Kodavan where he looks after Chinmay Vani. Earlier, he spent 38 years in the automotive and renewable energy sectors, rising to top management positions. Who is truly mad? In the 3rd century BC, on the streets of Syracuse in Sicily. An ecstatic Archimedes ran naked, crying out, Eureka, Eureka. In the mid 17th century, beneath an apple tree, in the orchard of Woolsthorpe Manor, a contemplative Isaac Newton would often forget even the need for a meal. On a rainy evening in the late 1940s, on the campus of the Institute of Advanced Study, a drenched Albert Einstein arrived at a friend's house and apologetically remarked that he had left his umbrella at the office. His friend replied, "Thank God, you could at least remember that." Einstein smiled gently, "No, no. I realized it only when I tried to close the umbrella on reaching your house." The so called intelligent society of their time might have labeled them lunatics, eccentrics, and absent minded. But the real question is who truly fits those labels? Archimedes, Newton, Einstein, or the rest of the sane crowd like us? The sanity of absorption. In my view, they were far saner, far more truly mindful than we can easily comprehend. They were so deeply absorbed in a single idea that they could momentarily disengage from the false identification with the gross body. In that absorption, the body's usual claims of shame, pain, or sensory disturbance simply fall away. This state is tanmayata, a word no English equivalent can fully capture. It is the condition in which Sajatiya Vritti Pravaha, a continuous unbroken flow of identical thoughts, fills the mind. It is not distraction but the highest form of attention, not absence but total presence. Such an intensity of mindfulness is essential for gaining knowledge of truth and realizing the self. If we wish to rise above the herd and move forward that ultimate goal, perhaps we too must be willing to appear a little mad, a little absent minded like them. Enjoy the game, thought by Swami Chinmayanandaji. It is the nature of the ocean to have waves, and if you want to take a bath in the sea, you must know how to play with the waves. If the waves are small, wade. If they are too big, duck. Learn to live with them and enjoy the game. Similarly, in the world of happenings around you, do not stand and complain. Face life diligently, understanding that this is the game. Nothing is permanent in the world. The infinite reality alone is permanent. And to that permanent reality, no harm shall ever come. ID card, visiting card, and passport. Vikram Murarka article. The many labels we carry. Our daughter studies away from us at CIRS, Chinmay International Residential School, the renowned boarding school of Chinmay Mission. She has been designed a roll number dash 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 printed on her ID card, which remains the same for her entire tenure at the school, from standard 5th to class 12th. In other words, she is identified at school by her roll number, and she also identifies herself with that roll number on her ID card. Being a student of CIRS with roll number dash 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 does not take away from her enduring fundamental identity as our daughter and a dear member of our family. In due course, she will join college and take on a new identity card. With a new roll number, she will still remain our daughter. In some years, she will either take on a job or have a venture of her own with a visiting card that mentions her name and her designation, a manager or founder, as the case may be. As she grows, maybe someday she might even receive a new designation of, let us say, managing director of her company. As she might need to travel overseas for work, she would need to have a passport. That passport will list her name and address but will not list her resignation at her company. There is nothing strange in that. Even the passport and voter ID of the President of Prime Minister of India do not mention their designation or post. Does obtaining a passport that does not mention her designation mean our daughter is no longer the managing director of a company, a position she has worked so hard to attain? No. Which of the two is more vitally important? Her visiting card or her passport? Obviously, the passport is needed because it is issued by a higher authority and enables her to travel the world, which is essential for her work. Should she be afraid of getting a passport? Not at all. She can have both and identify herself with either her visiting card or her passport. From role to reality. Similarly, when identifying ourselves with Brahman or when we know ourselves as Aham Brahmasmi, we accept our highest identity within which all other identities are subsumed, even while all other identities remain valid and intact. So, when Vedanta talks of identifying ourselves with the higher reality or with Om, and of giving up our attachment to our smaller, limited identity, it does not mean we stop being the MD of our company. It simply means we stop being unduly hung up on our MD of my company identity. It is also not the case that upon obtaining our passport we are absolved of the duties associated with the MD of my company, identity or role. We must continue to perform that role. We simply understand that we are essentially something far greater and that our smaller identity is not our be all and end all. That is a liberating realization. We gain everything, we lose nothing. Are we ready to claim our highest identity as Puja Gurudev wants us to do? ॐ श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः. हरिः ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः. हरिः ॐ श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय.